Today we start with the country's giant flag that threw a soldier 30 meters up into the air, C17 Globemaster III flying low in the main city to a horrible plane crash that caught on camera. Here are the 10 Army force movements caught on cam. Number 10. Mexican flag. At the Mexican military parade, the country's giant flag threw a soldier 30 meters up into the air. At the military parade in the Mexican city of Durango, a giant national flag caught on the rifle of one of the soldiers and threw him up into the air approximately 30 meters high. The soldier ended up with a broken ankle and a concussion as a result of the incident. His comrades immediately ran up to him after the fall and unhooked the flag from him so that it would not pull again. That's how the seemingly harmless flag was able to easily pull the soldier up into the air. The soldier is doing well now. Number 9. Paratroopers. This video shows the landing of troops, with all the action taking place right over Africa in 2019. What could possibly go wrong with jumping out of a plane for a trained soldier? As it turns out, not everyone is brave enough to step into the unknown. The soldiers were making the jump in different ways. Some fell on their chests, some jumped sitting up, and some hit the plane with their backpacks. All in all, it wasn't that impressive. Well, at least there were those who made a good jump, and the soldiers who, to put it mildly, failed in a normal landing have a lot to work on. Number 8. C17 Globemaster III Flying Low. Big, slow, and bulky, the C17 Globemaster III cargo jet may not be the first aircraft that comes to mind for pulling off insane aerial stunts, but that didn't stop a crew of Royal Australian Air Force aviators from doing it anyway. In a video posted to the unofficial US Air Force, you can watch as an RAAF C-17 zooms between skyscrapers in Brisbane, Australia, while some enthusiastic onlookers drop some very colorful commentary behind the camera.
Hey! Woo! Oh, you got the bank! Fucking hell. What a beast!
The flyby, which happens regularly as part of the annual Sun Super Riverfire Festival, was a practice run ahead of the formal event scheduled to take place. If the crew's timing is off, or if they are slow to react, the jet would collide with a building. Very risky, said the pilot, who spoke anonymously as he was not authorized to speak with the press. For that reason, US C-17 pilots must fly 1,000 feet above structures in populated areas, he explained. There is a special approval process for doing flyovers for sporting events, but even then, they cannot fly below the tops of buildings. Number 7. Fighter jet landing on highway. You won't believe your eyes when you see this jaw-dropping footage of a fighter jet making an emergency landing on a highway. In a heart-stopping moment, a skilled pilot brings the powerful aircraft down on a stretch of road, showcasing incredible precision and nerves of steel. On 21 May 2015, for the first time, the Indian Air Force successfully landed a Mirage 2000 fighter jet on the Yamuna Expressway, near Mathura. So why was the Indian Air Force forced to land a fighter on an expressway? Well, it was not a forced but a strategic decision to carry out an exercise as a first step towards using an existing road network as an alternate landing and takeoff facility for military aircraft during emergency situations. In keeping with this, the Indian Air Force has been preparing a strategic backup option for some time. Earlier, India did not have the requisite network of highways that could possibly be used as a backup runway. However, the landing on the Yamuna Expressway by a Mirage 2000 fighter has demonstrated that India has now put in place a long-term plan. Number 6. The hand grenade was thrown wrong. At the military training facility in Hubei Province, China, it was how to throw a grenade day. It seems that throwing is not as difficult as pulling the pin. Lee was a brand new recruit who had never thrown anything. After removing the pin and walking out with a live hand grenade, his instructor gave it to the beginner. Lee is clothed in traditional military uniform, while the instructors are wearing numbered green pennies. Like John Rambo, 47 takes out the grenade's pin and tosses it over his shoulder. After Lee rushes off after receiving the grenade from him 15 times, we assume the instructor tells him to throw it and get down. Lee reaches the sandbag and winds up after a little pause. But the grenade slides off the back of his hand and lands at their feet rather than being thrown. When 47 sees Lee, he drags him over the sandbags. A second later, the grenade detonates. 47 moved quickly, saving both men's lives. You can see the grenade roll off his hand and drop between their knees when it detonates in slow motion. A video stream from a Skycam captures the intended event. It's unclear if Lee is receiving another chance at it. Number 5. Flying at sound speed. The brothers Wright completed their first flight on December 17, 1903. After U.S. Air Force Captain Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier 47 years later, our speed has continued to increase. There is a loud boom produced when you break through the sound barrier. In 2013, spectators at a U.S. military air display discovered just how loud the boom actually is. Approaches from the left, practically kissing the water as it flies by. The sound barrier is practically breaking around it. A few milliseconds later, it's gone, leaving a powerful boom of sound in its path. The height and weather conditions determine how quickly you must move. At sea level, as seen in this video, you need to go at least 770 miles per hour to break the sound barrier. Number 4. Routine test flight crash. You might quite adorably describe George Chamberlain Duncan as a badass. As a flying ace in World War II, he downed at least 5 enemy fighter planes while in action. George made it through the war, but on June 23, 1951, he came dangerously close to death during a routine test flight. We would want to state right away in this video that George made it out of the crash. When he tries to land, his plane is forced beneath the deck by an air pocket. It smashed into the carrier, igniting a huge ball of flames. The cockpit rolls over a few times before coming to a stop. Though the video is a little blurry, it appears that they are carrying him away. Another view of the crash from a different perspective is provided. It is glaringly obvious that George is fortunate to be alive. George was only protected from the flames by the cockpit canopy that came loose due to the intensity of the accident, which also drove his helmet off. The medical staff hurried him to the sickbay since his ears were severely burned. 6 months later, he was back in the air because, well, George Duncan was one badass. Number 3. The tank show went wrong. Russia has been the host country of the International Army Games since 2015. Consider it the Olympics of warfare. Tank racing and target shooting are 2 derby events in which teams of pro-Russian soldiers participate. The tank biathlon may be the ultimate Russian invention. Tanks were expected to meander around a bend in the ground and smash through a water obstacle at the first games. Rethink your assumptions if you didn't think you could drift a tank. Our cameraman whirls around to capture the second tank as it rounds the corner. Things take an unexpected turn as it whips around the curve like Vin Diesel. It comes to rest on its side but nearly returns to the treads. Our cameraman sounds like an excited NASCAR announcer after a massive pileup. Although most people assume tanks are like slow-moving animals, they can reach speeds of up to 45 miles per hour on highways. Some have even briefly exceeded 70 miles per hour. We're unsure how badly damaged the tank was in this video, but let's just hope that those involved didn't get into too much trouble. Number 2. Old vessel. We constantly build larger and more advanced naval vessels. What then should we do with the outdated and old ones? Of course, we fire torpedoes at them. The U.S. Navy said on July 22, 2016, that this ship will never set sail again. It was placed in the Pacific Ocean, and a neighboring submarine's targeting systems were activated. Recall that this was not a real war situation. Rather, it was a training exercise.
The submarine stalks the ship like a hungry shark. You can see the modern periscope sticking up through the water. It is fitted with sophisticated electro-optical instruments like sensors, lasers, and fiber optics. It locks onto the old ship and fires. The torpedo smashes into the side and causes the vessel to rock like a toy in the bathtub. Our helicopter flies around the ship to show us a massive crater in the hull. One of the cheapest ways to get rid of old ships is sinking them, or scuttling them in maritime terms. They create artificial reefs and foster algae growth, making a
Number 1. C17 Globemaster III Flying Low. Now, not every military aircraft has to go at that speed to please an audience. For instance, consider this C-17 Globemaster III. Even though this transport plane can only travel at 590 miles per hour, it is quite impressive. In the valleys of West Central Wales, there is an effective low-level training program called the Mock Loop. A large audience gathered to see some Royal Air Force operations on July 7, 2017. When the C-17 passed through, making history as the biggest airplane to fly over the course, they were in for a true treat. Spectators take pictures as the C-17 flies precisely. It sounds lovely as it moves through the valley. Even though it doesn't break the sound barrier, it's still quite amazing. To put this plane into perspective, the Globemaster III is about 3/4 the size of a Boeing 747. Imagine seeing a commercial airplane traveling that fast and that low to the ground.